from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
And good evening, everyone. I am forecaster John Bordash with you right now to give you your evening update here on Tropical Storm Elsa. First and foremost, if you can hear me fine, let me know in the comments. I won't get too ahead of myself before I know that we are all good to go. So we will wait to see on that. But in the meantime, well, we wait to see how that goes. We have a very active show on tap for this evening. We're talking tropics, we're talking heat, we're talking some storms. We have a lot to get through, and I'm going to try to work through this the best I can. And I see the first comment in from Lana Edwards saying she can hear me. Fantastic. And I did see, before I get too underway, I did get a question about what like a 40% chance of rain actually means. We'll touch on that after I get through the main presentation. So for those of you looking for that, I will get to that in a second. But first, I do want to start with our main presentation. So I'm going to walk you through all the graphics, show you Futurecast, time everything out for you. Then we'll go over to your questions. So if you have any questions, wait 1 second. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But we do indeed have a tropical storm watch in effect for Calvert County, for St. Mary's County, and for Westmoreland County. And this doesn't have an exact end time. These alerts are issued indefinitely, but this is going to be for Thursday night going into Friday morning. So it's these counties here shaded in yellow. And what exactly does that mean? For our tropical storm watch, we're talking about tropical storm force conditions being possible within 48 hours. The potential is there for winds of greater than 39 miles per hour. That's what that tropical storm force conditions means, winds over 39 miles per hour. You want to start protecting your property should this tropical storm forecast come to fruition, which I think it probably will. And we will have some limited wind damage across the area, which we'll touch on in just 1 second. And if you're in a vulnerable area that is prone to flooding, I would also just be aware that we do have a flood risk going on, not so much from coastal inundation, mainly from rain. We're going to see a decent amount of rain, and the rainfall forecast has really trended up today. It's just about doubled from what I've put out earlier today, but again, we'll get to that in a second. What I do want to show you talking about that is our flash flood watch that's been issued for our entire region. So all of Southern Maryland, Calvert, Charles, St. Mary's, Anne Arundel, and Prince George's County in that flash flood watch, as well as King George and Westmoreland County. By and large, if you're listening to me, you're under this flash flood watch. This goes from 5 p.m. tomorrow, so 5 p.m. Thursday through 8 a.m. on Friday. That's the time frame we're looking at for the potential of heavy rain. Let's time it out for you here on the Futurecast. This is what we're looking at. This is taking a look at our Chesapeake's Bounty Futurecast. And I'm starting this here at midnight tonight. It shows general cloud cover. And where you see those arrows, that tells you the wind direction. And when you start to get brighter colors, which you'll see as we move through here, that is indicative of stronger winds. So starting off at midnight tonight, we're looking at general cloud cover across our region. And as we push this on forward here, you're going to notice that we keep the cloud cover around. Maybe a couple of showers overnight tonight. When you're waking up around 6, 7 o'clock, not much is going on. Mainly just talking about the clouds with the southerly wind. But then you'll start to see we have the outer bands of Elsa trying to push through as we head over towards about lunchtime to 2 o'clock. And by about 3, you really begin to see the outer bands of Elsa begin to try to work in, as at the same time we have an upper level piece of energy working through the area, what we call a short wave, which will help to kick off some thunderstorms. I'm definitely going to be watching this initial band, which you're seeing here just south of our region here at 3 o'clock, those spotty storms. These storms will have the potential, 1 or 2 of them, to rotate. I don't think we're talking about a tornado outbreak across our region. However, when we are talking about a tropical system, we have a large-scale turning and twisting of the winds. So it is very easy to get small little turning and twisting of the winds, almost like what we saw with Isaias. I don't think it'll be on that same level, seeing as we have a storm that's already made a landfall that's going to be weaker coming through the region instead of what we saw with Isaias as a strengthening hurricane that had just made landfall coming up the coast. So we have some minute differences that are very important, but that is something I'm going to watch. As we continue to push this forward here, getting towards 4, 5, and 6 o'clock, that's when we really start to look at the core of Elsa. It's really going to be after about sunset. You can see the core of it beginning to work into the southern part of your screen there, pushing this forward you can see that we're looking at a decent, our first bands of the core of Elsa working through right around 9 or 10 o'clock. These probably won't be dealing too much with the potential for tornadoes, albeit that risk will be there. This is mainly going to be introducing that heavy rain risk, and you can see as we push this forward towards about 11 o'clock, you can see where the center of Elsa is just to the south, bringing in heavy rain. You can see the bright color arrows there indicating for us that potential of high winds across the region, especially for our coastal locations. And as we head towards midnight and 1 o'clock, you can see the cores beginning to move over southern parts of our region. This is likely going to track over southern St. Mary's County, and we're talking about the worst weather, the heaviest rain, the gustiest winds along into the east of that track. So I do think that if you're in St. Mary's County, I would definitely prepare for tropical storm force conditions. As you push this forward, by about 2 o'clock, this is beginning to move on out. Dry air is going to quickly wrap in on the back side of this, and by about 4 or 5 o'clock, this has moved up into New Jersey, so this is no longer going to be an issue for us. And by about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when you're waking up Friday morning, we're probably going to be looking at residual flooding issues, but I don't think we're talking about rain falling after about 4 o'clock or so in the morning. So waking up Friday morning, still dealing with maybe some residual damage depending on how we are able to get this storm in and out, but it should be out of here by the time we head on over towards Friday morning. Let's get you back to the graphics. Let's talk about the rainfall forecast. And I just updated this right before we came on live here. This morning I had our region seeing maybe an inch or two really on the outside looking in. The rainfall forecast has now been updated. Southern parts of Calvert County, southern St. Mary's, so we're talking from about St. Leonard to about Loveville, point south. So if you are in Lusby, and I always start with Lusby because that's where I grew up. But if you're in Lusby, White Sands, Solomons, down towards Lexington Park, Leonardtown, Hollywood, California, down towards Dameron, Tall Timbers, Piney Point, Scotland, these regions, 2 to 4 inches of rain, potentially more. And I'll show you on the future cast a little bit later after we get to the main presentation and get into some more of the science about it. Really, how we could maybe see a little bit more than that. Outside of that, so from northern parts of Calvert County, northern St. Mary's County, so from about Port Republic over to Mechanicsville, on over towards Waldorf, through about Annapolis, that region there, we're talking 1 to 2 inches of rain being likely. And rainfall totals are going to sharply decrease as you head north and west. You're talking about ½ an inch to an inch on over towards the I-95 corridor, and not seeing that much if you're heading on over towards, let's say, Frederick, or you're catching a flight out of Dulles Friday morning. We do have an elevated flood risk across our region, and let's take a look at those winds. Lesby love. Thank you, Beth, and thank you, Mary. You all know I have to represent for Lesby. But here's our wind forecast. I also just updated that. The highest winds are going to be to our south and east. That's going to be up along our Atlantic beaches down towards southeast Virginia. Winds of 45 to 50 miles an hour look pretty likely for this region, with the gusts potentially getting up towards 60 miles an hour. For our region, I think we're talking 35 to 45 mile an hour gusts, and that's for much of southern Maryland. Once you head on over towards the DC metro area, again, we start to see that decrease, just like with the rain forecast, quickly tapering off. With this, it's going to be in that purple area, I think, that has the highest tornado threat to the east of the track. When Isaias worked through our region last year around this time, that track was going almost due north, cutting southern Maryland in half. So I'll put our Bayside locations that saw all of those tornado warnings, which I vividly remember, on the east side of that track. I don't know if we'll be on the east side of that track, but we will be close to it. So we will have a tornado threat tomorrow evening, but the highest will be to our south and east. Let's break it down for you. JB, what am I going to see, and when am I going to see it? This is your storm timeline. I can only fit about 12 hours on here, so we'll see impacts begin to move into the region by about 2, 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But I think this is really the window we're looking at. The rain begins to pick up right around sunset tomorrow evening, and we're talking about the potential for 1 to 2 inches at least, but for most of us, 2 to 4 inches of rain really falling overnight, with the worst of this moving through probably around 10 o'clock or so up until about 2 o'clock. That 4-hour time period, I think, is when we could see some of the worst weather. If we're talking about wind, that's also going to be the worst, probably right around midnight or so. 25 to 35 mile an hour winds, potentially 35 to 45 mile an hour winds for those of you on the southern peninsulas of Calvert and St. Mary's County. We are talking about that potential of scattered power outages, especially for our southern coastal communities. If you're down towards Tall Timbers, if you're down towards let's call it Scotland, if you're on over towards Pax River, if you're over towards Cove Point, all of these regions on those little pieces of land that stick out into water. You know where you are, Cobb Island, all of these different areas, you will have the highest chance to see those scattered power outages. And we're talking about the potential of 1 to 2 weak spin-up tornadoes being possible as we head into tomorrow. And I really think that potential is going to be from about 4 o'clock up until about midnight or so. Once this begins to move away, we're going to see that tornado threat decrease. For comparison, if I had had this graphic made up for Hurricane Isaias last year, I would have had us in that yellow or orange shading for tornado. So we're not as high as that, but it is a non-zero threat that we will need to keep in mind. If we take a look at tomorrow's forecast, we start off muggy, we start off warm. Temperatures by 8 a.m. already at 80 degrees. Temperatures won't budge too much once we start to get those clouds in here, that rain, and I really think if we're going to see thunderstorms tomorrow, it's going to be from about 4 to about 6 o'clock or so, and then we just transition over to that heavy rain threat. And there's a look at your 7-day forecast as well. We have heavy rain tomorrow evening from Elsa, rather. From Tropical Storm Elsa. We clear up by Friday morning, but then we introduce the idea of some scattered afternoon thunderstorms Friday evening as well. We clear up for the weekend, and then we're looking pretty good for the weekend, and then we start to heat up early next week. So that is how things stand right now, and I want to see. I want to see if I can't just quickly upload here our the latest track of Elsa, so you all can get a look at that. Let me bring this bad boy up. There we go. And this is the latest track as of 5 o'clock on Elsa. And I put a local look at the track for you as well. It really looks to come right into our region. And it will begin to strengthen even before it hits the water due to our upper atmospheric dynamics, which is weird. I know typically these only strengthen over land, or over water, not over land. But we are going to be talking about this storm moving and really clipping our area right around midnight tomorrow night. So I think that's going to be the biggest threat for you. And I'll try my best to answer your questions. If you do have any specific questions about a specific location, I can't get to all of them, head over to jbweather.net. The website is revamped. My latest forecast is up there, and that gives you time. If you just go through and rate it, you can reread things, you can click on maps, you can look at them longer. I promise you that will answer 98% of your questions. And I know I don't have a ticker up right now. It's hard to do a ticker with one of these events, but just trust me, that will answer many of your questions. Lauren wants to know about the Baltimore area for Friday. Friday in Baltimore, you should be good. I mean, we'll talk about afternoon thunderstorms and some gusty winds up there, especially in the morning, but you should be fine on up towards Baltimore, Lori. And see, only Calvert and St. Mary's for tropical storm conditions, Kim wants to know. I know this gets a little confusing because the National Weather Service only issues these alerts here by county. But really, if I come actually back here if you look at this local look at the forecast, much of southern Maryland's in the cone. So I would expect many of us to see some form of tropical storm force conditions. I think you're the most likely to see them in Calvert and St. Mary's County. But if you're over towards, let's say, La Plata, you're still going to see heavy rain and some gusty winds. If you're in Annapolis, same deal for you. You're just the most likely to see some of the worst weather if you're down towards Lesby, if you're down towards Lexington Park, those regions for you. James, I did see your Twitter DM. You sent such long DMs. I haven't had time to get to you yet. Calvert Beach, again, that's one of those questions. I know people kind of want me to specifically speak about something. But with this kind of question, I mean, if you just head over to the website, I promise you can get the latest there. I'll rerun through a couple of the maps here. You can kind of pinpoint where you are on them. Again, Calvert Beach probably seeing right around 2 inches of rain, maybe a little bit more than that. Now, I've been saying I don't think this will be bad as Hurricane Isaias. And even this, I mean, the National Weather Service forecast with our flash flood watches for 2 to potentially 5 inches of rain. Our area last year with Isaias saw 7 to 9 inches of rain. So I know 2 to 5 sounds like a lot, and it is, but that is definitely nowhere near close to what we got last year with that. let's see, let's hope the 7th district doesn't get as bad. Well, Brittany, aside from Isaias, storms always tend to go around you on up there towards the northwestern portion there of St. Mary's County. But I would expect, I would prepare for some heavy rain. Potentially 1 to 2 inches. Wind gusts potentially getting 35, 45 miles an hour. Thank you, Blake. I appreciate that. Any snow, I wish. I don't like this time of the year. I love the snow. I don't like being hot, and I'm hot right now. So we get cold, and I love track. Snow is it's a lot more fun to track than this. Any chance to see the watch turn to a warning? Yeah, so Carl, with the way that these get issued, and let me see if I need to run through the entire show. So let me get to that. There we go. These watches will get upgraded. Either they will get upgraded to a tropical storm warning, or they'll get dropped. These won't just stay as watches. If you think of a winter storm, we'll get those watches first, and then they're either upgraded, downgraded, or they're just discontinued. And I do think that these watches in Calvert and St. Mary's and Westmoreland counties will get upgraded to tropical storm warnings. I don't know if we'll have any additional alerts issued for any other counties, because you're going to be further away from the center, and we don't have like a tropical storm advisory. It's either you're in a warning or you have nothing. So I think at least for Calvert, St. Mary's, best bet to say that tropical storm warning. And James, you were fine with the long. I do the same thing. My biggest pet peeve is being misunderstood, so trust me, I can't. And Lindsay wants to know about White Plains. So White Plains, I'll head back over here. Then we'll go back to Futurecast and really kind of dive into that for those of you that have stuck around. White Plains, you're probably sitting right around an inch or so of rain from this, I'd assume. And I think we're probably talking about maybe 25 to 30 mile an hour gusts on up towards your way. Let's see. Planning on driving to Charleston, South Carolina tomorrow morning. I would, we'll take a look at that more in depth, Megan. I would probably hold off a little bit. You're going to be fine up here tomorrow morning, but Elsa is coming from the south. And now that I've said that, I'm going to continue to call it Isaias. Elsa is coming from the south. So areas like South Carolina and North Carolina are going to see some of the worst weather early tomorrow morning, so you could be driving right into that. And yes, Amanda, I think I wouldn't say Southern St. Mary's is going to get hit like super hard. Like, you will get the worst impacts out of anyone, though. Oh, Lindsay, okay, can you repeat that so I can? Lindsay, what was your White Plains? So Lindsay's mom. Probably around an inch of rain, maybe up to 2. This comes a little further west, and I think we're talking about winds 25 to 30 miles an hour, maybe gusting up to 40. And yes, Mary, you all will see a lot of me over the next 2 days, and I'm sure tomorrow. Well, it's really just going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be here with you all day, and then tomorrow evening is really when we're going to kick it in. We're stage set. I'll probably be wearing my white shirt with my pink tie because it's like a storm alert thing. I'll have my storm alert mugs out. We'll have the whole thing. But yes, tomorrow's going to be a very active day. So let me get you on over here. Let's kind of take a look at how things are. So this is a look at radar right now. Many of us got into those 90s today. And just so you know, we're now transitioning to part of the forecast where we're talking a little bit about the science. I will try to answer your questions the best I can. And James wants to know, any chance of tornadoes in Hollywood? There is indeed a chance of tornadoes with this. Not super high, but it's a non-zero threat, so we could see 1 to 2 weak spin-ups. Yeah, and Lindsay, if your basement floods on, I would definitely get any important documents probably out of there. But let me take you on over to Futurecast, because this, coming over here really allows us to kind of hop on into everything. So let's get the Futurecast loaded up here. All right, and we actually want to turn off our warnings. We want to turn off. And actually, before I do all of that, so this isn't Futurecast just yet. This is what is actually happening. So down to the south here, this big storm, let me turn off our current station readings. This right here is Elsa right here. It made landfall earlier today down in this region where you see my cursor. And it's not made its way into Georgia. You can see the general spin. And this is going, in our forecast, has this coming. See, we track it on up towards the north and then comes right here into our region, so right to this area. But let me get you on over to our future cast, and we can dive in and really take a look at those winds, those rain amounts I was telling you about. And actually, that's where I want to start. Actually, no, we'll start with, if I can get this to load. We're going to start with our rain. Or maybe not. Which would be funny. This happens almost every time we do one of these. It's moderately annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, that would be wind. I don't want to start there just yet, though. And I don't think we're going to get this to load. Awesome. So while I reboot that, we'll come back over here, and I'm just going to let this loop through a couple of times just so you can kind of see what we're looking at with all of this. So this is our future cast model here. This shows that rain really beginning to push in after lunchtime. Tomorrow morning, maybe some scattered showers, maybe an isolated storm or two, but I think what we're really going to be talking about winds from the south, but mainly cloudy skies. I don't think we're talking about too much tomorrow morning. And I'm trying to multitask now, and if anyone knows me, they know that I don't do this too well. There we go. Okay, now we can come back over here. Okay. Whew. Now that this has had a chance to reboot here, I want to get us on over towards tomorrow at around, let's start at 2. You see scattered rain showers. We're not talking about much, but down here to the south, this is where we have Elsa. So this is our future cast model for 2 o'clock tomorrow. You can see all the wispiness. This in here would be the center of Elsa, and out ahead of it would be in one of the outer rain bands. And we're able to get these individual storms, like this one here and this one here and this one over here. This would they would be allowed to kind of spin and rotate on their own. Let's see, let's move us on forward here. And then we're tracking these storms as they move northward. 3 o'clock, let's head over towards about 4 o'clock. That's, again, really around 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. That time frame is when we could see the outer bands of Elsa try to move on through with some enhancement from upper-level pieces of energy, and we could see some heavier rain move into the region. And these, again, would have the potential to spin a little bit. But what I really want to do is push us forward towards about 9 o'clock here. And this is when we're starting. This would be the core of Elsa down here, beginning to see that move into our region. By about 10 o'clock, this is when some of the worst begins to move into our region, and it really is area-wide. By about 11 o'clock, you can see we're looking at rain just wrapping on in heavy rain right through our region. By about midnight, we're talking about the center of Elsa would be right in here, where you see very little thunderstorm activity south of Lexington Park, except for this one right here. But this general area would be where the center of Elsa is. And we would be talking, if I could get the winds on here. Let's get this a little bigger so we can see. No, you're not going to let me do that. And you can see it would be a wind here coming right off the water. So it's really these coastal locations. We're not talking about a lot of coastal inundation, but the potential is definitely there. By about 1 o'clock, you see that center is moving right over our region, and then it's beginning to move on out. By about 2, 3, 4 o'clock, this is probably when I'll start to get some sleep. Now, if I give you an idea of just how much rain this model is putting out for us, and this model is very aggressive, but it's our flagship model here. If it wants to load, that would be the kicker, right? All right, let's get you on over towards the end of the event. Let that load. There we go. You see it really just kind of get bright here. What you're seeing here, we're talking about a very quick radiant. Out to the west of DC, you're talking maybe half an inch. In DC, it's caught about half an inch. Waldorf, look at how quickly we're ramping it up now. Inch and a half. We're talking about the potential here. 5 inches, 3 inches of rain, 3 inches of rain. You know, this is the general idea here. This right here, where we have the brightest colors, that's really honing in on the track. This is where the most amount of rain is likely to fall across our region. It's really going to be right through kind of the heart of our coverage zone. Much of Calvert County, much of St. Mary's County, southern parts of Charles County will see the worst. Now, you will still see impacts in Indian Head, Nanjemoy, White Plains, from I believe that was Lindsay earlier, and Clinton. These areas will still see impacts. Let me come back to your questions quick before I get too ahead of myself, and then I will talk about what rain chances. All right. Well, the heat and humidity that we are having feed, so it won't make the storm stronger per se, but it will allow for some additional thunderstorms to bubble up tomorrow. So kind of indirectly, I guess, we will see potentially worse weather because of the heat and humidity, but it's not because it's making Elsa any stronger. It's just because it's allowing for those daytime thunderstorms to fire on up. I'm going to appointment in Newport News at 1 o'clock tomorrow. When should I plan to be out of there? As soon as possible, Jan. If I take you back over here to Future Cust, let me get you on over towards 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it does load on the first go-around. So Newport News, you were down in this region, down here towards Virginia Beach. The core of Elsa is already down here. So, I mean, you probably have, what, a good 3-4 hour trip. So if we just put this 2 o'clock, you've already left, you're probably getting, I mean, the rain is following you, but it's going to catch up to you, and then by 3 o'clock, you're probably not even back to southern Maryland just yet, and the rain is kind of moving in, so I'd either leave as soon as possible, or if you could maybe wait an evening. I know that's not prime to do, book a hotel, but that might be one of the better ideas to do. But then again, it's really what you want to do. The kicker is, a lot of people ask me what they should do with their plans because of the weather. The kicker is my family. When I tell them we shouldn't do something because of the weather, very rarely do they listen to me. So you can take what I'm saying however you want to. If it were me, though, that's what I would do. I'd either leave super early or I would wait that one out. Scotland will get lots of rain, JB. Glenn, that is a correct statement and observation. Plenty of rain, probably getting close to 4 inches down that way. So one quick thing I did want to touch on, because I got a question about it a little bit ago, and I've seen this floating around social media, so I can touch on it quickly, is what exactly does a 40% chance of rain mean, or a 60% chance of rain? And I know this is, if you've been on social media the last couple of months, you know this has kind of been an ongoing thing. What that means is really kind of up to the forecaster. So there is an actual method to the madness, I guess, so to speak. If I can come over here. So when we're talking about the probability of precipitation, which we will abbreviate as POP, when we're talking about the percentage chance of precipitation, this is just a quick science lesson. And Catherine, I do have goldfish. Ryan has hit them for me right now, which is good, so I'm not snacking on them now, but they are waiting in the wings. And Tammy, wind speed's probably getting up towards about 30 to 40 miles an hour for many of us, especially south of like Prince Frederick, south of La Plata. So percentage of probability of precipitation equals, and this is the actual formula, the confidence times the area. So the way that this would work is that if I am, let's say, 70% sure that we're going to see rain, so we'll do that as a 0.7, but I think only about 40% of the area will see rain. And no, I'm not this good with math to do this off the top of my head. That would mean that we would only have around a 30% chance of rain, which doesn't adequately tell the story of what that means. So what a lot of weather forecasters do is they kind of we customize this, I guess is the word I'm looking for there, to kind of how we view that chance of rain. I don't necessarily do it this way, and a lot of forecasters don't. I don't cover that big of an area. I mean, I know that, Annapolis down to Ridge is a big area, but compared to, if you talk about a DC weather forecaster, not that big. So when I say we have a 40% chance of rain, I genuinely do mean everyone has a 40% chance of rain. If there's a discrepancy where, like, Annapolis has a 0% chance, but Ridge has like 100% chance, I'll make a graphic to display that. But typically that's what when I say that, what that means. I know that was kind of like a go-around way of saying all of that, but that's kind of where we're at with I hope that helped out a little bit. So, a couple of you are watching to get that. All right. So you got an appointment in Annapolis tomorrow morning. I live in Ridge, and the appointment is at 10:30. Am I going to run into this coming home? Lanny, probably not. I mean, it kind of depends on how long your appointment is. If you're done, let's give it an hour, 11:30, and that's from Ridge, a 2-hour drive. You should be back before the worst of this. You might see some rain showers, but as we take a look here at Futurecast, 3 o'clock, that's when we're starting to see the rain move in. Now, if you're talking like a 4 or 5 hour appointment, you might have some issues. But the worst of this really won't get set in until like 4, 5, 6 o'clock with the peak of it, not waiting until after sunset tomorrow. So that is what I have for you. If you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to call this one a little early tonight because I'm kind of running out of comments to touch on. However, I will be with you all day tomorrow. So we are talking early in the morning. I'll be up with you at 5 a.m. That's when I normally wake up to get that morning forecast out. And I'll be with you all day. Going into the evening and overnight tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about this potential for some pretty gnarly weather. So, yeah, I think that about does it for our comments, though. So, big news today was that the new website is finally unveiled, which is great news. I've been working on that bad boy for months. It took forever to get that revamped, but it is all good now. So, that's really going to serve as the hub for JB Weather. All of my updates, or at least the vast majority of them, will be on jbweather.net from here on out. I do not like the way Facebook operates. I'm sure if you followed me long enough or you listen to these live streams long enough, they're always going to be talking about this. I don't like the way Facebook operates. I don't like the way Twitter operates. Their algorithms make it very difficult for me to reach all of you all in a timely manner. We could have a tornado warning, for a half-hour time period, and in about that half-hour time period, maybe 100 of you will see that post out of the 37,000 of you that follow. Catherine. Oh, no, Catherine, you're good. You've been here long enough. I kind of exempt you from when I get people asking that. You are good. I know you do this out of good faith. Here we go. Here's that storm timeline for you to give you an idea. We really should be cleared up by sunrise. And Kathleen, thank you. You are back. Kathleen, we're going to become friends again over the next 24, 36 hours. We'll see a lot of each other. But yes, that will serve as, we'll still do updates, Facebook and Twitter. The vast majority are watching on Facebook, so you'll still see my updates there. But I would bookmark JB Weather, make it a shortcut on your phone so you can head on over there. A lot of people want a JB Weather app. Trust me, so do I. An app costs roughly, for what I would need, between about $50,000 and $100,000 just to develop. I do not have that much money. And the money I do have gets channeled into making these live streams happen. So instead of making an app, we're going to do this. And I think this works out a lot better. I know I would like to be able to see my forecast just clicking a button, but you can get my forecast on a multitude of apps, on the Twitter app, on the Facebook app. So you have that for you. But that is everything I have for you this evening. I think that about answers everyone's questions. You can head over to jbweather.net. My latest forecast video is up, and those will be nightly now, Monday through Friday, posted sometime between 4 and 6. But that is up, and that has all the latest information and really kind of sums up everything here. So thank you for joining me. We are going to have a long 24, 36 hours ahead of us, but don't worry, I will be here to keep you ahead of all of it. But in the meantime, I'm forecaster John Bordash. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'll let you all get on with the rest of your evening. I'm going to get on with the rest of mine, and we will talk again soon. Have a safe one.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.